Good afternoon, welcome to the Option XE webinar. I'm Ben Newman, and the date is the 29th of May, and the time is 14:28. We're just getting things set up there, so hopefully not been too inconvenienced by that delay. As always, you can interact with me via the chat window here, and today we're going to be, or this afternoon, we're going to be concentrating on the Canadian GDP and the preliminary GDP in the US, both of which should provide some opportunities. We can see we're already getting some signals here, so we're going to take a look at that in a minute. Now, first of all, is there anyone new to us today? Is there anyone that hasn't attended a webinar or hasn't had any kind of training or guidance with regard to the software and the settings? If not, I will go through them quickly. But what I want to do first of all is focus on the USD Canadian. Just make sure all our brokers are set up for that as well, and I think there's going to be some good movement there when we see those results. Okay, but Jared, maybe at your end, is anyone else having trouble hearing me? Anyone could confirm whether the audio is poor there? Okay, so Vijay, it's at your end that, not at mine. Okay, obviously if it's mine, I'll do something about it, but nothing I can do. Okay. All good. Vijay, I apologise for that. Nothing I can do, I'm afraid. So we're going to take a look at the results as soon as they come through, and I'm going to get the USD Canadian. I'll try and do it on the lower ones here. We'll get them teed up so we can place a trade. There we go. Already we're seeing that movement by the US dollar. Now we're going to wait for correction because there's no point in rushing into these trades. Okay, let's just change to M1 and you'll be able to see the movement now. There we go, look at that. So the US dollar, the preliminary GDP, very positive but very negative for the Canadian. So I think this trend is going to continue. Let's have a look. The US dollar's powered on against the euro as well. So let's just wait for some correction here. No rush on this, and then we'll see which way this is going to go. I'm going to get the brokers teed up for USD Canadian here as well. I think this is going to be a solid movement we can follow. So I think the US dollar is going to continue to gain against the Canadian. So I'm going to get some trades placed here. All right, these will be our initial trades, and then we're going to have a look at some other options just to see if that dollar continues to gain. I think it will. So I'm looking at USD Canadian, their call trade, so in favour of the US dollar. There we go. Remember, this has the market has just opened, but what I know is that the market is very in favour of the dollar at the moment against the Canadian. The reason being is there's been positive US dollar data but negative Canadian. So it'd be good if we could have caught that right when it happened, but nevertheless, I think this is going to be a good trade for us to get in. So it'll probably move back a little bit. But overall, I think this US dollar is going to continue to rise. Now we're seeing very sudden movement away from the US dollar against the. So let's just have a look at the Euro USD because we saw a similar movement here. Let's have a look at an M1 chart. Turn these signals on. Yeah, so we saw this drop down massively. Let's just see what the effect is. So overall, the euro very strong against the US dollar over the last 3 days, which is what I'm looking at there. So hopefully you managed to follow that. Let's just have a look. So here we go. The US dollar now continuing to rise against the Canadian, which is what I anticipated, and I think it will continue to rise probably against the euro as well, because to gain against the euro as well. That's a dropping trend because of it. I'm just going to have one more look at the GBP USD and see how that's acting. As we saw the pound get very weak early on. Let's have a look at an M1 chart. Yeah, so that's dropped and gone straight back up. So that's not one I'm going to entertain at the moment. And let's just have a look at the USD JPY, which we should see a massive upward movement on that. But again, it corrected itself almost immediately. So the ones that we, and let's have a look at the Australian US dollar as well. I'm going to turn these signals on, and again, that's dropped and then bounced straight back again. So the US dollar will probably continue to gain now. So the one that really is attracting the most attention from me is the Euro US dollar, which we can see is continuing on down now. But the one against the Canadian in very good shape. But The others, not quite clear how they're going to go at the moment. Because there was the Canadian data that was very weak, that's why these trades are in very good shape here, as you can see. So I think the overall the US dollar will continue to gain further to that unemployment data. Let's just have a look at it. So yeah, the preliminary GDP, not unemployment, GDP data was 0.7%, which was above forecast, but with the Canadian it was just below forecast, and that's why we're getting this movement with the US dollar here. So we've got 4 trades there, all in favour of the US dollar against the Canadian, and I think this is just going to continue to rise, certainly for the time we've got our trades placed. So hopefully you've managed to replicate those trades. Has everyone managed to replicate the USD Canadian trade that I placed there? I hope so, because I think this is going to continue to go up. Perfect. The other one's not so certain at the moment, so we'll just keep an eye on them. I think the US dollar will continue to strengthen. Let's have a look against the New Zealand dollar, because New Zealand dollar showing a lot of weakness early on this morning because of an announcement there. But let's just have a look where it's sitting now. So it's started actually to strengthen against the US dollar, which so we've not really got much else to go at apart from that USD Canadian at the moment. We'll keep an eye on the trends. M1 on the USD JPY. The US dollar is continuing to gain there as well, so that could be another one that we can go at. So let's just have a look at that. USD JPY. So it has bounced around quite a lot there, and it is looking like it's just putting a steady rise now, and I think that will probably continue. So some signals, and we may not get any signals because we've got them on such short charts. That's just so we can see exactly what's going on with it as it happens, which means I'm not too fussed about the signals. But there's not really much to tell in it. I mean, we've managed to get to a very accelerated position on this USD Canadian, which has given us the advantage. And we've used the data that's been released to achieve that position. For the other ones, it looks like the dollar's now starting to weaken. So we'll just keep an eye on things. I'm just going to go through and have a look at some other trends that may be giving us some opportunity. Euro GBP, not really. Euro JPY, let's have a look at. Well, this Euro JPY trend's interesting. This has been going up now for a little while. There's a big dip there, but look, over 3 days, the euro just dominating the yen. The yen really in a very weak position for this week. GBP USD, let's have a look at that. Barak, yeah, quite possibly now this is on the rise. So the pound strengthening against the US dollar. So let's turn that on. Yeah, and I think probably you're right, Barak. Thanks for that input, because I think now the pound is strengthening against the US dollar. So let's have a look at that actually, because that's interesting. I thought that might happen. We'll just see. And I think everything is now starting to gain against that. So yeah, Barak, a good call there. I think we're going to have a look at trading that now that the market's sort of settled down a bit. Let's just have a look on a 3-day view and make sure we're in the right area to place this. Yeah, it's certainly down. I think probably the same thing's going to happen with the euro as well. So I think we're in a good position to place this pound now. So yeah, good call, Barak. I'm going to place those GBP USD. They are cool trades, all right, and I think they will continue to rise as well. So the only reason we've got, I think the euro USD is probably looking like it's going to be doing the same now. Let's just have a look on the Optionbot chart. On M1, we'll just see. Yeah, so the euro USD, I'm going to place this one as well. Again, 1 o'clock, so 1 o'clock, 1300 expiry and a cool trade. So I think there's a long way to go on these now that the US dollar's weakening. I don't know what's causing the weakening against the European currencies, to be honest, but there we go, it doesn't matter to me. So let's see if we can capitalise on that movement. So we'll put in 2 Euro USD trades and 2 GBP USD trades. If you've got 5 brokers, I recommend spreading across your 5 brokers. So let's have a look at the GBP USD here as well. It's really starting to rise now. So these are good opportunities to now take advantage of these. So there we go. We've got which is becoming a standard 8 trades placed. All right. The US dollar just holding strength against the Canadian now, but this GBP, the euro, GBP and euro pairings are in excellent shape now. So we're really taking advantage of that movement up. So there we go. So all our trades looking very good. The USD Canadian just settled around that point now, so we managed to take full advantage of the movement before it happened. We fortunately placed our trades before that movement occurred. And look at this GBP trend now. This is absolutely flying up. So the US dollar really weakened, and if we look on M1, we able to see that. Look at that. So absolutely soaring up. So we're in a really good position for these trades now, and that is just continuing to rise. Let's just hope it doesn't affect our other trades here. And I think the same thing's going to be happening on the Euro USD as well. Indeed it is, just soaring up. Look at that, even more extreme movement. So we're in a very good position here for all our trades. So it's very tempting when you're seeing trends like this to keep placing trades. And in fact, I am tempted to now, but here we go, they're now peaking. So they're just sort of settling around a point. And in fact, US dollar just coming back a little bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's just dropped back down now. So it's a good job we didn't place trades. Hopefully they won't come back too quickly. I think it will sit around this level. This one here, probably just about going to be in the money. This one's well in the money. The pound saw such accelerated movement there that, but it did on this one as well. So this is the only one really that's just slightly out of the money. All the others are in real good shape here. So hopefully you'll manage to replicate those trades. Can I get some feedback as to who did that? Barrett, really good advice there. I'm glad you noticed that. Very hard to notice all these things that they're happening, sorry. And I was focusing on the USD Canadian just because there was some data coming out regarding that. That's where my focus was lying. But these are all very good. So I'm happy with those. Hopefully you've all managed to place the same trades as well. So they'll all probably just sit around the same point now. Took 3 trades, that's good, John. So you can see now they're kind of leveled and they're just sitting around that point, but we've managed to take advantage of the movement before it happened. In fact, the euro accelerating off yet again, so that's good for us. And in fact, it's coming down against the Canadian, so the US dollar weakening, but not to a point really it's troubling our USD Canadian trades too much. I think they're perfectly alright actually. So I'm very happy with these 8 trades. A lot of you will have 10 trades placed, but at the moment these 8 trades are looking very good indeed. So what we're going to just have a look at now is what other opportunities may be coming up. As we can see, this is sort of leveled out now. So I'm going to change these back to M15, and probably, certainly if they were on M15, we would have got signals telling us about this, obviously, but we were focusing on capturing the movement as it happened. USD Canadian here, yeah, just leveled out. Look at that, quite obvious what it's done. So the whole point is to take advantage of the larger movement before it happens, and then it levels out, and that puts our trades in a very good position. Then let's have a look at the USD JPY, because I imagine, well, there you go, that's not moved at all really, quite surprisingly. I thought that would as well, but yeah, the USD Canadian just coming down now, and the US dollar just starting to take a bit of a hold, but I don't think it's going to trouble our trades too much. We should start to see a bit of gain from the US dollar. These are moving in absolute opposite directions, strangely enough. While the US dollar is strengthening, the Canadian is, well, the US dollar strengthens against the European currencies, it weakens against the Canadian. It's a very odd dynamic there, really. But yeah, just looking at these, they're starting to come back down now, but I think they'll settle and then probably just start creeping up a bit slower. So I think the USD will come back. Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry too much at the moment. I think we will see this come back. We've got plenty of time on these trades, and even the GBP and the Euro now pulling away a bit, or the US dollar's pulling away a bit, but I think it will sort of settle and then probably just slowly start to creep up again. We managed to get our trades in a strike point at a time when we had a lot of movement, which gave us a big advantage, obviously. So at the moment they're just into the red, but I don't think that will last long. I think they'll come back for us. So if anyone's got any questions at the moment, I'd appreciate them. Any feedback, any of you that have been with me all week, you know, how have you got on? Have you seen good returns? It's not been a bad week at all overall, certainly for the results of my trades. We've had some very good webinars. Yesterday afternoon, a rare poor one, but for the rest of the week it's been predominantly good. So we'll just keep an eye on these and watch how they're moving along. But I think these are probably all going to be fairly good for us. So the fact that these are moving in opposite directions, we can see they're all in the green, apart from a couple. But I think these trends will come back and just put us into a position of profit by the time these expire in 15 minutes. At the moment, most of them in the green, they're just around that area. So I don't think there's any danger of them not coming in the time we've got. So if anyone's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yeah, you said that before, Vijaya, and I do state it as I'm doing them. I do state whether they're a call or a put, and quite clearly you can see whether they're a call or a put. Does anyone else have trouble knowing which way I'm placing these trades when I'm placing them? Yeah, fair enough, Vijay, and of course I'll change it if possible, but I am actually saying it as well. I'm explaining that they're call or put trades and saying what pair. So it'd just be good for feedback from anyone else, whether they have the same opinion. You mentioned the other day that the euro was at an all-time low. Well, it's not an all-time low. Well, it is pretty much, actually, thinking about it. Is there any websites you would recommend for more long-term charts? Well, the thing with the type of trading we do, Matt, is that it's not long-term. So if you start looking at long-term charts, you're into a different sort of element of trading. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't use any. No, there's none that I would recommend, so to speak. I tend to use the ones I've got. I have a financial calendar, which any of you that take training, the training programs have all that information as well. So yeah, but I just wanted some feedback. Vijaya, I do, as far as I know, I'm very clear about, I state the pair, whether it's a call or a put, and I state the expiry time as well. And I do that twice because I get the broker set up, and then when I place the trades, I say it again. So I don't know why you're not hearing that, maybe because of the sound issues you've got, I'm not sure. But here we go, we're seeing these trends starting to peak up again. So these are going to put us back in a position of profit, hopefully. There we go. Euro just needs to start strengthening a little bit. Certainly the pound is already on its way, so the euro should follow. We can see our USD Canadian back in the green now. And for our other trades, the European currencies are gaining against the US dollar, where the US dollar is gaining against the Canadian. I think that's just the dynamic of their markets, or their economies, how they trade against each other. But certainly the others are looking pretty good, and these USD Canadians, which I was worried about a minute ago, now very much back in the money. And look at that, the USD starting to soar against that, really starting to go up quite rapidly. So we can see these are all very firmly in the money. I think probably the USD Canadian one, we can have another trade on that, but a slightly longer term one. I'm going to look at another 30-minute trade on this one and follow this, because I really do believe that the US dollar will continue to strengthen. So I'm going to go through and place another series of USD Canadian trades, but for longer expiry time. So we're looking at least 40 minutes or so. I think this will continue to go up slowly but surely. So just place enough time on those trades so that you're not getting caught out by any fluctuations in it. So there we go. 13.30 is the expiry time I'm putting on most of these. Just following that US dollar. It has dropped a lot against the European currencies now, or it's started to gain a lot against the European currencies. We can see that it's really started to come down. But remember, the euro currency is predominantly strong today, so we'll see. This is really going up quite rapidly now. So let's just have a look at it. There we go. So, and this will mean that even if these euro pairings with the US dollar don't come in, which I think they still will, but even if they don't, we'll be in a position where the others do. This USD Canadian pairing, we've got an extra spread of trades there to swallow up that loss if it happens. But I think the US dollar looking like it's going to continue gaining against the Canadian. At the moment, it's just out of the money, but we've got plenty of time. These expiring at 13.30. So yeah, probably Barak. I mean, the thing with the Aussie dollar, let's just have a look at it. The thing with the Aussie dollar pairing is that even if the US dollar looks strong against it, it can change direction very quickly. Our Optionbot just not reacting at the moment. Yeah, this dropped away again, but I think the US dollar will come back at it. And our Euro US dollar trades are now looking pretty strong as well. So we should see them come back into the green. Hopefully we can finish this with these expiring in the money for us. I think they will. Some of the GBP looking like it's creeping back up there. So let's just see how they go. The USD Canadian now strengthened against the US dollar, and I've got these longer term trades back in the US dollar, and I think it will continue to rise over that amount of time. But for the shorter term ones, the ones we've got expiring sooner, we just need them to sort of pull up and get back into the money for us. They are dropping away, so we'll just see how that goes. But none of them far away, if I'm honest. So there we go. So yeah, I just wanted to have a look at the Australian US dollar. It's not letting me at the moment, Barak, unfortunately. Oh, it's changed now, so let's have a look. Yeah, but see, well, there we go. I mean, looking at that trend, that is way more erratic than we saw the other movement. So the problem is this is moving around in much shorter frames of time, quite large amounts as well. So that means it carries much higher risk. It's a lot less predictable. And in fact, looking at the M1 chart or M5, I can't see how that's going to be an advantage there. But anyway, Barak, can you just explain what potential you're seeing in that? Well, even still, I saw it drop suddenly. But as I say, that's exactly what I was saying about the Australian US dollar, is that it can bounce back very quickly. So yeah, you're probably referring to this movement down, but it does move a lot more erratically than other pairings. So it does pose more risk. It looks like it's got huge potential, and then it changes direction very quickly. So yeah, just be careful with it. The ones that I'm trading on at the moment certainly carry a lot less risk. We're seeing that one just creep back up. So just waiting really for these the pound and the euro to strengthen a little bit. It's not going to take much. We've got 8 minutes left on these. We need these to come up just a little bit, and here it goes. They're starting to strengthen now. But now the opposite is happening for our Canadian trade. So before it wasn't. They were both going in the same direction, which is what we wanted. But now they've changed round, so that dynamic has switched, unfortunately, for the moment. But we'll see what happens, because I think the dollar will turn around and start to we'll start to gain against this Canadian again. There we go. We're back in the money for our euro trades. There we go, we can see that we're well in the money for this one. So this one we just need to start to turn around. I think it will do. Remember, we've got another half an hour on those trends, so they're just sitting right around the point we're just below where we need them to. So they don't need a lot to go back into the green now. So we just hope they do that before time is up, and that's 7 minutes time. So be quite tense towards the end here, but I'm confident that these trades will come in. So has anyone else got any further questions? Everyone's probably worrying about their trades, but it's one of those things. I think they'll come back. Yeah, not a lot we can do at the moment except wait. It's been a tense day in terms of trades, and often touch and go right to the close. We did well this morning on these, so I'm hoping that the luck, and there is an element of that in this when we're looking at trades like this. Obviously, we took advantage of this huge movement up here, and look, it's dropped down again and just leveled out. Such a shame, because we're in a really strong position with these trades. But there we go, this one's in the green, so we'll just see these out, see how they go, and hopefully we're going to get a result from these trades. So I'm just going to have a look what's coming up next week in terms of opportunity to place trades. And I can give you a bit of an insight into what we've got to look forward to next week. So we'll just have a look at that. Look how close these are to where they need to be. 5 minutes left, very tense. Probably in the green, I'm not quite in the green on this one. And it's, there we go, into the green now. This one, just coming into the green now as well. So, my God, this is very close. So we'll just see how it pans out. If I get some feedback on how anyone else's are looking, obviously yeah, Vijaya, they're just bouncing in and out of where they need to be. I know, very tense indeed. But now, if we look, the Euro just picking up enough to put us back into the green there. I think on our Euro Canadian, I think will save us. It will keep us in profit even if a few of these don't come in, which it looks like might be the case. The US dollar now starting to strengthen against the pound. So we've got, there we go, these two, but then we've got the Euro USD just creeping about where we need it to be. We just need it to pull up just a little bit. 4 minutes left on these trades. We'll see how they go. This is back into the green now. Anyone's guess, this USD Canadian one just sitting around the right point for us. And in fact, the vast majority of those in the green. Yeah, so there we go. Most of them in the green, but they are sitting right on the point, right on that strike line. So very difficult to tell. It looks like the pound and the US dollar, those trades are slipping away from us, and the Euro USD is, well, it's anyone's guess. We've got 3 minutes left. So coming up next week, we've got, let's have a look. So we'll just skip over this and see if we can have a look at the calendar for next week. See what we've got there. So it looks like our US dollar Canadian is now picking up quite rapidly, in fact. Yeah. So worst case scenario, we lose the Euro trades, but it looks like we're definitely going to get the other ones. So we will, I'm sure, get 8 of the 12 anyway. It's just a shame we didn't get 12 out of 12, and we were so close this morning as well. So we'll probably be finishing up somewhere around a $400 profit, well, near there, $350 profit for the day. We can just see, look, these are now back in the green, so they're going in literally in opposite directions. So hopefully anyone that's replicated my trades has replicated the second USD Canadian trade I placed. You can see it here now going up, but it looks like the Euro ones are slipping away from us, unfortunately. So I think it will be an 8 out of 12 finish, just as it was this morning. Looks almost certain to be that. These ones just moving up now. Obviously, we've got another half an hour on these. The US dollar really starting to take control of the Canadian. 2 minutes to go. We'll just see whether these ones come back. They may do. We live in hope. We've got a couple of minutes left. But coming up next week, Chinese manufacturing PMI to start us off on Monday morning, start of the month, of course. Then Australian building approvals. These both very early in the morning in terms of European time. But if you're in Australia or that side of the world, then you're going to be able to take advantage of these. And I recommend getting up for these. Chinese manufacturing will be high impact. So for the building approvals. And then we've got the HSBC final manufacturing PMI in China as well. German preliminary CPI figures all day for Europe. So although it doesn't appear high impact on our calendar, the overall impact probably will be fairly high for the euro. Whether that be positive or negative, we'll wait and see. Then we've got manufacturing PMI in the 10:30 my time. So when London opens, that will be high impact for the pound. And then much later on, we've got the ISM manufacturing PSI for the US. That's not until 4 o'clock in the afternoon my time. So here we can see that we just got, so the European US dollar, there we go, so just slipped away from us. So we've got half of those in, and it looks like our USD Canadian trades will come in for these as well. There we go. So it looks like it's going to be an 8 out of 12 finish again for today. So we'll be looking at somewhere in the region of somewhere in the region of $350 profit for the day. So not at all bad for a Friday. And I hope that that some of you got the results that I did there. It would have been half and half. But of course, the USD Canadian looking like it will come in for expiry at 50-50. But Vijay, if you place the other USD Canadian trades, you should just get yourself into a good position of profit with the other ones. Perfect. Okay, well, look, thanks for joining me. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll be back on Monday morning for more of the same. Hopefully, this week has not been bad at all. So thanks for joining me.